The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is now 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago on Tuesday, the 19th of July, 2022. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the True Nation Station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
Like kicking off first and foremost, as we always do, all right? We must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to our brother in music, and that's Tony Prescott. But before we say thank you to Tony Prescott, we must say thank you to those that went before us. And when we talk about that, we talk about the Tainos and the Kalinagos, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know that Columbus lied. Mm-hmm. If you don't know that, now you know.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I agree.
Right?
I agree. I want to start a rename places that I visited, even though other people living there before me. I just
Serious?
Yeah. I mean,
so we're gonna call Marbella now.
Cadolan
and Sando.
Cadovania.
I see where you're going with here. Brother man, what do Peter Speak stands for?
Preposterous, but we have different levels of behavior, and the only thing that they all have in common is that they had to be it's just preposterous.
Yeah. If you didn't know, this is Delivering with yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I'm always great, and trust me, I am never late, alongside my bro with no fro,
Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage and the local stage.
And we are inside another edition of The Living Room, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
The past couple weeks, probably like month or so, we haven't had much time before we started our actual program to kick back and wipe our feet and hang our hats. But this is a public service announcement that must be made before we continue, right? For those of you who are religiously locked on with us each and every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m., I must let you all know that this show is pre-recorded. I shouldn't say to let you all know, I should remind you all that the show is pre-recorded, right? We record the shows before time, sometimes due to the availability of the guests, as well as our availability, right? Because unbeknownst to a lot of you, Ricardo and I do have pretty busy schedules.
I mean, lives outside of the living room?
Well, I just go to the bedroom sometimes.
Hey, Mr. Man, this is a 6 p.m. show. Save that talk for a little later now. Maybe after
sleep.
Big Bang.
I just go to my bedroom to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I just go to the kitchen a lot too.
No comment. no comment.
Right, so guys, if you have comments or questions that you would like us to table and ask the guests after, you can shout out Ricardo or myself via our social media handles. Across the board for me, it's really simple. At DJ Aaron 868. Aaron with two A's.
Two A's.
Yeah.
So ARAN?
AARON.
That make more sense.
868.
Yeah. The important thing is that we're here.
Yeah.
Every week.
And
I was gonna say whether we record before, whether we do back to back, whether we miss a week, the fact remains is we
here.
Try our best to present a show, a conversation every Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. and available on DJ Aaron 868 YouTube.
Yeah, we
after the show.
After. Right?
Yeah.
There's something that I wanted to say as well. To those of you who in the shout box every week, a special good evening to you.
Correct, is right.
Right? We don't do the show. We can't do the show without you.
Yeah, a couple times I check in and Mr. Cheese there right through Ingrid.
Hey, it's Dr. Cheese, huh?
So you have a PH Cheese? Yeah? No? But you're right. Man didn't put in all that work for me to call him Mr. So Dr. Cheese, greetings, sir.
Father.
Oh yes. Well, Aaron, we've been having some interesting conversations so far. We've done media, we did law, we did psychology, we in education now, and I guess we looking to swing into the second part of the education thing. But before we get into that, as I say, it's been a while since we get the opportunity to hang our hats and wipe our feet. So anything you want to get off your chest before we get into the fracas?
I want to hang my hat and simultaneously wipe my feet, as I always do to watch the West Indies cricket team. We swept Bangladesh in the Test match series and the T20s, but we were swept in the one days. And from what I gathered, I didn't get to watch the entirety of all the games. It wasn't a comprehensive batting performance. So I'm hoping for better when we face India next week. Yeah. And bet your bottom dollar, I will be at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy for the right reason this time, to watch cricket on Friday the 29th when we play India.
Very nice one. And when CPL starting?
I think the end of August. But before that, it have the 60.
Beginning 60?
No, the 60s of the islands as well.
Begin anything?
Yeah, with normal 5 games, I think it is.
All right. Home games then?
Yeah, going Brian Lara for that too.
Nice one.
Again, for the right reason, to watch cricket.
Well, boy.
What about you?
I wanna, I just want to wipe my feet. I just want to wipe my feet. Parents, your kids have spent 2 years out of the regular school system. They didn't perform as well as they could have performed in the SCA exam. All the issues of the exam itself, the conditions that they've been under, etc., noted. But they put in place a remedial program because 9,000 out of 19,000 children didn't hit 50%. They put a remedial program in place, and from what I hear is only maybe 3,000 parents registered 3,000 students are registered for the program.
Don't do me that now.
So the opportunity to close the gap between what your kids' expected performance was and what it actually was has been presented to you, with much work done by the ministries and the teaching staff, the school staff, etc. And 1/3 of the students who most need it have been entered into the program. So you know what? I good. I good. I can't be more vexed than all you.
You know,
I can't be more upset than all you.
You know, seeing things like this has truly upset me. You know why? Because it's the same persons who will come back and say that the government of the day doesn't care about us and don't do nothing. The government of the day don't offer us free educational courses through different ministries that we could access, but the government don't care about we. I have to say it, and if I get put off the rest of the show, it's cool. We do not take advantage of the systems and the opportunities which are presented to us, and then we blame the same government for not caring about us as a population. Make it make sense. earlier, these kind of things that is getting real upset about. Because we talk about how the government don't care about the ground. They don't care about the lowest level of the population. But yet still, these opportunities are presented to all of us, but we don't take it.
Yeah. I've also noticed over, I guess some things are coming out and it's good. You know, so yeah, you have to air these infections sometimes. A mutual Facebook friend, she posted some comments as to the experiences she had with teachers growing up. Some of them were very unpleasant. And people started sharing their stories. And she was revealing the less than impressive, the less than humane ways that some teachers have treated students over the generations. I would like to acknowledge that teachers are human beings, and thus it's not everybody going to be the same. So I say I wasn't going to do it, but I am going to hang my hat to the teachers who exemplify humanity and leadership and the vocation and the responsibility of preparing our children to take over the world. It is not easy, especially in a system that, as much as it tries to support you with one hand, it appears to take away with the other one. But that's another topic for another time. Right. We've been privileged to have guests like Maria Titus last week. And this week, our guest is none other than a brethren. After the buff Miss Titus put on me last week, I thought, listen, if I bring in our next teacher inside here, it had to be a partner. It had to be a brethren. I ain't looking for all that buff and correction.
Miss Titus didn't buff me because I was well behaved.
Yeah. I was mischievous in class, and I get put, well, not in the corner, but I get put up.
You get put kneel down on a great.
Well worth it though. Well worth it. And
you didn't hear what I said that? Yeah,
I hear. I'm not taking you on here, right? I'm not taking you on.
Before we bring in the guest, Ricardo, really quickly, there have been some instances of violence which have taken place in our country over the past couple of weeks. And we are not sweeping over it and ignoring it, but they will be addressed at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To the young men that were who lost their lives or were murdered or whatever.
The findings will be.
Condolences to their families. Right. This one close to my heart, and I think we would look at this for next week. To the DJ that was chopped and subsequently succumbed to his wounds, in, I think it's Sandy Grande or somewhere up on that side.
Yeah, somewhere up in the northeast.
That one real close to my heart all year.
We seeing even there's a reason we are addressing violence for a month already, and look like we have another month or more.
Yeah, boy. So guys, we're not ignoring what's taking place out there, but we are choosing a different way of addressing it.
Yeah.
Right. Ricardo, why do you properly introduce our guest? Let me see how quickly I could get down to the studio.
Yes, sir. Activate your teleportation device.
Yes, if I could find one here.
I just want you to just give me a sound effect. You know what? I will put in a sound effect. You give me a teleport. Give me a teleport look now. Give me something. Yeah, but I would end up mimifying him.
You know what? Yeah. Let me really try to get across. So you go ahead now, and I'll start a teleport.
All right. Well, our speaker this afternoon, Mr. Wendell Moses, he has a BA in BA Special in Accounting, IMBA Specialization Entrepreneurship and Innovation. 3 years he served 3 years as a junior business consultant, 2 years as a finance analyst, and 13 years as a teacher in accounting and business. Which is smart man. So he He graduated from UE with an international master in business administration from Arthur Lockjack Graduate School of Business as well. So yeah, his Bachelor of Arts was in UE and his IMBA was at Lockjack. 13 years teaching, but he's been influence and a leader for a lot longer than that. So Wendell Moses, we're gonna bring him into the living room as a male teacher in a male secondary school. Aaron, you do your thing. Exit, stage left. One time, no crying. One time, exit from the living room. Watch your curtain going. And yeah, see you guys in a couple of minutes. Warish is gonna bring us in. So, after the welcome to the living room, that lovely entry by Warish, look, I sticking to the French all how, yes? We tend to laugh a little bit because normally is Aaron with some kind of shenanigan or bacchanal, and this time was no exception. So I want to take the opportunity to officially welcome to the living room for the first of what I believe to be many times going forward. Well, we went through the bio already. We know the man credibility, but let me tell you about the man character. Years, decades plus before I even met this guy, he was good school friends with a cousin of mine. So from the time the name Wendell Moses came up, it was always associated with character, upstanding character, strength of character, humility, and leadership that I would see for myself develop over the decades. So Wendell, is my pleasure and my honor to have you in the living room in this capacity. I hope Aaron taking some notes as to how to conduct himself accordingly going forward from this exchange now.
Well, Ricardo, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the introduction. And I'd like to thank you and DJ Aaron for having me on the program. It's one that I've followed in the past, and I have much respect for what you all do in the living room, the kind of conversations you all have in the living room. So I just privileged and honored to be here with you all this morning.
I appreciate it, man. So Aaron, I know this education thing close to your heart. I know you've mentioned that you spent a brief interlude in the teaching arena. I don't know if you want to give us a quick reminder of that.
Which part of it? A good part or a bad part of it?
But a part that means something to you.
A part that meant something to me and continues to mean something to me is when the children from the school that I taught at, they still come up to me and greet me as Sue. Right? Yeah. Plenty of them now are probably mid to late 20s. No. Early to mid 20s, yeah, my bad there. And they just still come and greet me as Sue. They would still come and tell me about how the little lectures I gave them on things like time management, conflict management, as well as being able to carry about themselves properly in every environment still impact them today.
Yeah. Yes, man. That's a great way to segue into a two-part, but quite possibly the easiest question you're going to have for the day, Mr. Moses. One, how are you? And two, what has the teaching experience been like for you? Let's say, Aaron had a stint of maybe 3 days or 4 days, and
it was 5 months, Ricardo. 5 to 6 months.
I was paraphrasing. And so if it impacted him like that, I could imagine what your tenure has done. So how are you? And tell me what teaching has come to mean to you.
Well, teaching has been really a great experience to me, to tell you the truth. I have been teaching 13 years now, and I thoroughly enjoy my job. And that's the thing, Aaron, you can't get away from that. No matter where you go, you'll be recognized as Sir, which puts your role and your function in society even more in focus and importance as to how you conduct yourself even outside of the school, because you're often recognized as Sir. But teaching has been a brilliant experience for me, And I always find that the conversations that I have with the students outside of the classroom, more than inside the classroom, are the more enriching conversations, the ones where I'm able to really connect to them, and understand them. So teaching has been great. I had the benefit of teaching in a 7-year secondary school as well as an all-boys college, which I currently teach at. So yeah, can't complain at all.
Totally off script and off topic here. Last week when we had Maria on Ricardo, she mentioned that teaching was a calling.
Yeah.
Right? Would you agree with that, Wendell?
Well, plenty times people refer to teaching as a vocation. I agree with that as well, but I also side on the fact that teaching is a profession as well and must be treated as a professional as well. But yes, teaching requires one to extend themselves beyond the call of duty, even what might be considered to be their professional duty. So within that regard, it is a vocation. Yes, it is a calling. I myself come from teachers. My mother, Mrs. Moses, is a popular and well-known primary school teacher. I have aunts, uncles who were teachers. And to tell you the truth, coming out of university, I had the opportunity of being a junior management consultant, right? And in that role, I had the opportunity to facilitate and lecture many programs nationwide for entities, and that opportunity exposed to me my passion for teaching, my ability to deliver my subject matter as well, and it really propelled my willingness to enter the teaching service. And I always had the ambition as well to return to my alma mater to deliver the service that I was given as a student there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
Yes, it is a calling.
Now let's get down to the serious matters.
Credibility and character established.
Yeah. Right? And I asked the same first question I asked our last guest. Are camera phones allowed in school?
Different schools have different policies. Some schools have a strict adherence to no camera phones. Generally that is the policy of the ministry, where once a student has a camera phone, it should be switched off, particularly during school hours, particularly even more so during class time. Some teachers even go so far as to collect the phones before their classes and redistribute afterwards. Yeah, so it's all up depending on the institution, but generally, camera phones are not allowed.
Right. So is it that there's a spike in school violence, or is it that we just seeing what used to take place without the recordings now?
We just seeing what used to take place with the recordings. The presence of social media, the ability for videos to go viral in a matter of minutes, has heightened or presented the visualization of school violence in a real way for the public that was unable to really see what used to take place before. So I don't really see it as being a spike. And one of the other things I add to that too is this here. One of the concerns I believe people may have with some of the school violence that they're seeing right now is the relation it has to the wider criminality within our wider society, the levels of criminality within our wider society. And some of these school fights are in some ways connected to, these criminal activities and realities that exist outside of the school. So there's also a fear as to what some of these things may potentially escalate into. I believe that may in some ways be fair, but to say there is a spike, I won't say so. Yeah.
So, yes, go and say something, Ricardo.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah.
So is it that the violence is a problem, or is it a symptom of, as you said, the wider criminality aspect in society today?
Well, definitely a symptom, Definitely a symptom. The school is a microcosm of the wider society, and what we see happening in schools, for example, the proliferation of broken homes, brother. Mm-hmm. The proliferation of broken homes, single parent families. Especially when we talk about male students, many a times you find parents challenged to control their male student because of their burden with having one job or multiple jobs, parenting by themselves, etc. So it's more a symptom of the problems that exist in the wider society that we see in with school violence. Because all of us could agree, we went to the same college, so we could see where family support, your support network plays an important part in the level of success you're able to achieve. Because in the college that we went to, we had the examples of the two extremes.
Agreed.
We saw we existed around guys who had all the support that they needed, and we see what was the result of that. And we also saw guys who struggled within that regards, and we also saw what was the result of that. So it's a symptom. Yeah. It's definitely a symptom.
The children at the school you teach now, they be singing a lot of the skanks and the skilly bangs and all those different things.
Definitely. The youths will just express what is the current trends, and that is the prevailing genre right now. And of course, you will see students during the break time having the earbuds in the air. Sometimes you have to pass and tell them about it sometimes, But yeah, they listen to that. If the question is if the music have an effect on them, yeah, in some ways it does. Especially, as we said earlier, if you don't have the proper support network around you, and you're looking for something to give you relevance, you're looking for something to give you direction, anything might suffice, and music is a big influencer in that regards. The music will fill the empty voices, the empty spaces that your parents' voices left behind.
That wasn't even the question I was going to ask, but thank you for answering it.
That's a nice segue, but I want to just note that in our time we come up in the 90s when
Bush, I make it enemy then. Bush.
I talking about it gets so bad with music in our era that they started rating music for content. Prior to the mid-90s, they didn't have the mature 14 and over, not for teens type of ratings that you would see on music.
You should also do TV?
No, sir. When you buy a CD, your CD was coming
with
a rating.
Yeah,
right. All he was buying CDs, no problem. Little whippersnapper. So but the thing is, even though the music that we listened to then, and I don't want to call any particular artist or genre, but there was still a balance because we still had a prevalence of things like conscious music and that type of thing, right?
I remember even getting a scolding, a tap from my mother for singing a certain artist's song back then. Because so even then, your parents used to be very alert sometimes to what they're listening to.
Mhm.
What ragadan you listening to today?
Yeah. Because we didn't have no earbuds.
Right.
And no headphones. You had no other choice.
They
Player
played it.
A and player B. You had to
Mhm.
play it loud, so they hear what they're listening to back then, you know.
Yeah, correct is right.
Some fun memories there, boy.
Well, some of them. But yeah,
No.
and that's a real good way to get into the next question. The role of the parents in this thing, Wendell. As I mentioned, we're seeing the result of the broken homes. We're seeing the challenges that the parents facing. But I'm gonna draw the line here. A lot of parents delegate raising the children to the teachers in their lives. Let me say that so that they can't say you come and say that. Right? A lot of parents are expecting that their teachers would parent their kids, not recognizing that this is a teacher that has 30 children or different classes during the course of the day. And what you're struggling to do for a couple hours in the evening or in the morning, you're expecting them to do for 7 to 8 hours with dozens of children across the day and the school year. So give me a little POV from the teacher's perspective here in terms of the unrealistic expectations of parents.
Well, you asked two questions there. You ask role of parents, and then you refer to the realistic expectations of them. So I'll deal with both of them. Of course, we can't underscore the importance of parents enough. I would start by saying this though. In the teaching service, we have a lot of dedicated teachers. And we must applaud them, because many times, the role and functions that teachers fill, as they rightfully mentioned, is that of the parent in many of the students' lives. And many of these teachers have the compassion. They make it they give some of their free time to fulfill these roles and responsibilities in some of these students' lives. Of course, it's difficult to reach everyone, you know. So it is very difficult. We can't underscore, as I say, enough the role of the parents. Parents nowadays, we have to be careful, because what I find has occurred during my experience as a teacher is that often enough parents tend to get too friendly with the children. They become their friends. And Form 1 is great. They are active, they're involved in their lives. Form 2 goes on, and somewhere between Form 3 and Form 4 is when they sometimes begin to take notice of the bad habits that has developed over the Form 1 to Form 4 journey. And when they attempt to take corrective actions is when they have challenges at that point, turning around the student from the bad habits that they have already developed, especially when it comes to studying and doing homework and simple things like getting sufficient sleep. It have young men that will stay up all night, play video games, and come to school late. And they will tell you, they stay up all night playing, whatever, and they wake up late. So parents play a very important part in students' lives. Of course, history will show you those students that have their parents very active in their lives are the ones that are able to gain success. And it's about navigating the many decisions that they have to make, because sometimes without that guidance, we could make wrong decisions and go down paths that we're not intended to go.
Unmute myself, yes? There was a Friday night, Ricardo, when we used to do the Friday night line that the mighty Trini called and had me in conversation for I think like 30 minutes plus.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how you just have to shape the tree from when it's young.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that a lot of parents are forgetting, that when they give your children the leeway to take control of their lives from a young age, when it's time to rein them back in, because you realize things might be going left or right, it's hard to get them back on that straight path because they have now been shaped in whatever direction that they may have gone.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that sometimes when they go now to school, they would now say to blame the teacher because you ain't doing your job to straighten back out my child.
Yeah. And that leads to the question that Ricardo would have asked secondly, realistic expectations of parents sometimes. I mean, the truth of the matter is we spend most of the day, when you add up the amount of hours a student spends in school, sometimes more than they would spend at home, put it in an academic year. So we are in contact with the young people for most of the day. But as we said earlier, sometimes when a teacher have 30 students in front of them, teachers give an effort, they pay individual attention to the students as need be, but it also really requires the support of the parent. The support of the parent, without the support of the parent, the interventions that teachers sometimes could take is limited. It's limited, the meaningful intervention, because sometimes students may be deferred to counselors, to student support services, and some students just simply ignore their parents and refuse to turn up to the interventions that will set out in front of them, etc. So it really requires the support of the parents as well. Teachers do all they can. Teachers, I could tell you where I am. I can't begin to tell all you about the kind of dedication some of the teachers show to these students, the kind of initiatives. We have teachers at our college on an annual basis do food hampers and give it out to students who are economically depressed. We go to the hospital. It have teachers who are in charge of going to the hospital during Christmas time. So it is an ongoing task for teachers to fulfill that role as parent and guardian.
Akin to last week, I want to say thank you to all the teachers for the human service that they are doing in society today, right? And I also want to ask this question: how important is or are extracurricular activities in helping with alleviating the perceived increase in the school violence? So, extracurricular activities give you an opportunity to harness other skills, give you the ability to develop interpersonal skills. It gives you the ability to develop your all-round ability to be a human being, because I want to say that at this point, one of the things I always tell students, sometimes when I get students for the first time, one of the first things I tell them is that I make an apology to them. Especially in form classes, I make an apology to them, and the apology I make to them is that we have been led astray for many years in misunderstanding what school is about. And we have too often associated school with passing and failing an exam, and we all know how early that begins in a student life, as early as primary school. That narrative begins. But one of the things I tell them is that, school is about developing attitudes, the right behaviors, and the right habits. Once you have those things done, the results come after, And I say that to include extracurricular activities in that whole mix of developing the right attitude, the right behaviors,
because they talk about time management. You know, when you're a student athlete, you have to have time management, you have to have discipline. And so yeah, extracurricular activity is very, 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 very important in school. And we see it at our college. At our college, we have students involved in many, many disciplines: football, cricket, we have swimmers, box cat. You see what that do the other day, Aaron?
Yeah, and you know, I must shout out that alma mater as well as the one before that, because San Fernando Boys RC School had a team there as well.
Yeah. The organizers of that event, hats off to them. I don't want to take the privilege of just calling the name, but hats off to the organizers of that event.
Ricardo, looking a little clueless never.
I saw pictures.
Okay.
Well, this is an event that has been going on for a while now at the college. Organized by a teacher that has been there for many, many, many years. He taught all of us, gentlemen. Right? Yeah. Technical joy. That was a technical joy.
Hey, boy.
So it's a brainchild at the technical drawings department, really, yeah?
That is,
and it has been ongoing for many years. This year, it was even more a grand activity, especially with the need to re-socialize our students in the whole process of the school life. You know, that played a big part in giving students an outlet to have fun, to connect with their peers, you know, because
Right. I have two things that I want to say. Firstly, refer to the tests, right? And I want to take a page from the Western world, where in Japan they say that children under the age of 6 or 7.
That's Isa, but good. Good. No, if you keep going, we'll take a reach back.
Remember, it's us. Anyhow, right?
Yeah, keep going, we'll take a reach back.
Yeah, because it is go like this now. Not,
Yeah.
Right. In the schooling system across there, they don't have tests and stuff until I think the children turn 8 or 9, because they focus on socialization in the early stages there. You can check that out in your own time after the program for those who want to learn more about that. The second thing there, you spoke about the fact that of the re-socialization and reorientation of students back into physical school. Now that this is the first term is of physical school for everybody is now complete. How has that been?
I think it was a sigh of relief for many students. Many students are very, very happy to return to physical school. Online school, while I, as an educator, see the advantage, it have the advantages of being able to conduct online classes as an educator. But from the student perspective, I don't think they will enjoy any process too much. I don't think they will enjoy any process too much, because I mean, even myself, if I be honest, how I engage my students, I am somewhat animated at times when I teach my subjects. So, you know, and that captures them at times. You know, so doing that online is difficult to do. So face to face, I think it was a sigh of relief for many of them. They wasn't doing well. Because imagine the kind of bad habits you could develop home area. Yeah, you know?
Yeah, Aaron recording episodes without pants and them kind of thing, and then you might have to go and sit down in a room with other people for 7 to 8 hours.
Yeah, that's that.
Whoa. I don't know if you saw that there was a company in the US, Ricardo, that told their employees to come to work in whatever it was that they were working from home in. Everybody had on pants.
Everybody had on pants.
Good
thing is you're not working in the US, Aaron. But
and then to be fair, their recruitment process would ensure that the pants wearers are workers still, are productive workers.
Correct is right. And
Yeah,
one of the things that came to mind is you're right about the engagement as well. I've seen students interact with you, and one of your advantages is that you have surpassed the requirements to be considered average height. So one of the advantages to a young student, a young emotionally suppressed or challenged student, when he decides to act out or to vent frustration, etc., when he encounters a teacher who is, how much is it? Six, how many?
6'6".
6'6". When you encounter a 6'6" male teacher who looking you dead in your eye, not saying it, but the glint says, all right, big man, what we gonna do? It is a different dynamic to navigating this relationship across a screen where there's no actual manifestation of the presence. Right? I've seen your students, and it is amazing the way that they challenge and respect you within the same engagement, which is a difficult thing to pull off remotely.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, the height and size is a secondary tactic really in the respect. I like to pride myself in the fact sometimes, even without the student knowing, I get to know them. I make it my business to get to know things about them. So sometimes in passing, I ask them questions about what their interests might be, where they live in, simple things, So I try to get to know my student first, and then because you can't gain the respect of a student by being authoritative nowadays, It requires a little more dialogue, it requires a little more understanding. And once that happens, then we can get authoritative with them because, the stage has been set, the tone set for the relationship, and they understand what it is. Right? They understand that the strictness is an act of love more than, act of punishment. Yeah.
So you're saying get to know them on a personal level first, and then
apply discipline. I can give you a story like that. I remember my first appointment. I'll never forget this really. I tell a young man in his school, I generally don't teach lower forms, 1 to 3. I most times would meet students by the time they reach Form 4 because of the subject area I teach, which is accounting and business.
Big subject that way.
Yeah. So I would most times meet them at Form 4 level, but I remember a time it had this young man coming in at Form 1 level, and I took particular interest in him because he was an interesting character. He had a big voice, a big tone, a small youth at the time, but big voice. The area he from, you could see, made him a little rough, but he was intelligent. I remember the first football match I put him in. He displayed a talent that shocked me against a big college at the time he was playing. And then I get to know that he come from a long line of footballers, but he was always a little rowdy in school. Teachers didn't understand him at the time. He was a little disruptive in classes as well. He used to, and I always used to challenge him because I used to see him passing Ricardo, and then I get to interact with him through football at the time. And I used to tell him, boy, I would come down in your area and see where you live and deal with you. And I was challenging him, and he always tell me, boy, you can't come down by me, sir. So a day I went down by him. A Saturday I went down by him, and I pick up the young man, and 2 of the other fellas in the area on the team. And I was carrying him up Port of Spain area to Digicel football camp. They just had a football camp on Saturday, and I say I'm gonna carry them there. And it's only when I reach the lighthouse, the gravity, the magnitude of what I was doing at the time hit me. Because when we hit the lighthouse, one young man in the car turned and asked me, "Sir, where he is?" So I kind of freeze. He asked me where he is, you know. I kind of freeze, expecting one of the other young men to chime in and say, "Well, boy, yeah, so and so." The whole car stay quiet. And then I realized it was all three of them first time. I'm talking about 14-year-olds, 14, 15-year-olds. And it was their first time in Port of Spain. You know, and that made me like, wow, you know. And then I set up a tour guide for them to show them around, carry them out to eat. And after that, I developed a very good relationship with a young man, even to date. You know, I still have a relationship with him. And I say that to say that sometimes, you know, meeting young people on a different level is what is required to really, you know, harness them, you know, deal with them. So
now, I think there's about that time in Ricardo.
Mm-hmm.
But I have one question I want to ask before I say the word that I stumble over every week.
You don't stumble here and you just outright tread on yourself. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
As Cat Sprado, say it in local parlance now. Right?
I like the use.
You know, jokingly, a lot of us, the elders in society, and I have to refer to us as that now.
Who?
The elders in society.
Oh, Ricardo. Oh, I'm talking to you.
Exactly. Thank you.
This is mature dog.
Right? We like to say that the day corporal punishment ended is the day that things went a little awry in schools. How do teachers now instill discipline without corporal punishment? And what are some of the measures you'll use very quickly to just keep students in check?
Well, the school the ministry has a discipline matrix that goes from probably level 1 to, I'll tell you, level 8 in terms of infractions. So the matrix sets out the infraction and what measures can be taken or should be taken in those cases. If I was to give you an example, you know, level 1 infractions might require verbal warning. Level 2 infractions might be detention or community or academic service. Then we have level 3 parent conference, level 4 behavior contract, level 5 suspension, level 6 extended suspension, etc. You know, so it has a matrix that we follow in terms of applying discipline in the schools today.
Yeah, we get a little more than last week, Ricardo. Last week we learned that it had a matrix. This week we learned that now it have 8 levels, and we learn what some of the consequences are. So next week we might get to hear a little bit more about what some of the infractions might be to inflict some of these levels, right? It's a learning process, because as we learn, that document is not a public document. True. So we getting a little more out there for the wider audience to hear that it's not just, well, he cuss out a student, 2 students had a cuss out, and that's the end of that. We now know that the levels as to how this thing could go. Now,
go ahead.
We are getting perilously close to the hour of 7 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. So, you know, we do at this time, we allow our guests the closing remarks, and we wrap up because Mr. Desmond is in studio already, and he's waiting and watching us and listening attentively to a program like this.
Well, again, thanks for having me. As it relates to the violence of boys and the school system, you know, I think that generally boys has a different need for motivation. They need a different mode of delivery of the curriculum sometimes in order to capture them, in order to reach them. We also have to make sure we pay attention to how we socialize our young men, ensure that they're able to express themselves, communicate well, so and stop this machoism that men don't talk and men don't cry, etc. So that violence and physical altercation, it would not be the first conflict resolution skill they would apply, but generally the school system is moving forward. We have a lot of dedicated teachers. The system around us is pledging to get better, and the future has bright possibilities as to how we could continue to transform our young people. We just need everybody on board. Parents, teachers, guys like yourself, Ricardo. This conversation, this national conversation you're having here right now is important in getting us on the right path as to where we need to go with education and shaping our young people. So thanks again.
Not a problem, man. Ricardo, I will end first because I have some work to go and do with Kenny.
Yeah, no problem.
When I had to do work with Kenny, he just be calling me from 4 o'clock in the evening to do work 9 o'clock in the night.
I know Kenny will call it April for work in May. I know how it does go.
No, actually, no. He just called me 4 o'clock to tell me that the work starts at 9 o'clock and that I need to be there for 8 o'clock. So, but anyhow, that's just Kenny for you. All right. So, guys, as I always end, I end by saying that love is the currency. So spend some today. Let somebody know that you love them, guys. Wendell, thank you for taking time. Well, you're on vacation now, but
yeah,
right, time for me to rest and your downtime to spend with us inside the living room. And I look forward to spending some time with you. I don't know where the games will be this year, if we'll be in Union Hall or in Mani Ramjan.
Wherever it is.
On another secondary school football challenge. All right?
Definitely.
So, Ricardo, take it away.
Guys. You do your thing. I go lock up the living room, man.
Please do.
Yep. Well, this is yours truly, Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage and the local stage. Thanking you guys for joining us in the living room. As usual, guys, I remind you that the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. I'd like to thank you, Wendell, for doing this with us. The encounters we've had over the years, particularly where I got to witness you as a teacher, as a leader, as an influencer, and I mean a real influencer, no disrespect to the social media platforms, but to be able to see students' behavior adjust because of the proximity, I believe it is my pleasure to have had you and characters like you who doing the hard work, going the extra mile. One of the questions that we have been asking, particularly the teachers, is, what innovative and what modern corrective measures we could take as it comes to addressing the violence, as it comes to addressing the indiscipline. And you've already spoken as to the personal engagement, the taking the interest, the getting to know the students, becoming involved in their lives as opposed to just being a staple of the process. So
and helping them with that roadmap.
Yeah.
Because many of them challenges, you ask them where they want to be next 5 years, they can't. So you're helping them develop that vision. Important. Mentorship.
Right. So I want to thank you for being an exemplar. I want to thank you for the work that you're putting in. I know, and I will say this very frankly, I know it in terms of the number of male teachers to female teachers this last round, the ratio is not what it's supposed to be, especially considering the number of all-boys schools and the need for even the male students in the co-ed schools to have this additional example of what the template of our man in society is supposed to be. So thank you for your efforts, and I'm looking forward to, and I invite you back to a panel we're looking to have before school reopens, where we're going to have a couple teachers and an educational psychologist with a little brief discussion as to what we could take into the next term, as opposed to just looking back at what came out of the last one. Yeah. So I appreciate you. And for the people who have not said it, thank you, sir. Anybody want to say good night to before we leave?
Well, I always send love to my sons and my family all the time, Much love to them. So yeah, that's it.
Very good. Well, guys, Mr. Desmond is in the building, so keep it locked.
All right. Thanks, man.